my name is Nicole. Welcome back to my channel, Green Onion Vintage. Normally I am here talking about all the projects for my antique booth that I'm trying to resell, but today I'm doing a little bit of a different project for you. I am finally tackling my front porch. I have put this off for a very long time. I've never liked this really dark red door that we have. It's very glossy, just very intense. And when we bought the house, I was sure it was one of the first things I was going to tackle. And now here we are, 3.5 years later, and I'm finally getting around to repainting my front door. I don't use this door very often except to get the mail. We normally go through our garage, so it's just kind of been a neglected space. I'm really excited to finally get this space redone and have a more welcoming front door color. So obviously I'm prepping the space right now. I'm leaf blowing all the dust out, sweeping, and now I'm wiping everything down with a microfiber cloth. The trim is just a wreck. I'm wiping down the threshold. It's been a really long time since this space has been cleaned well. So it felt really good to kind of get all of that cleaned off. And I really like freshening a space up for fall because we're about to decorate for Christmas and all the holidays. And I like to have a clean space to decorate and not try to just put decorations on top of our old dust and grime that we haven't quite gotten to. Look how beat up my trim is. I could not believe it. So there is a lot of work to be done on the front porch, but today I'm focusing just on repainting the door, my bench that I have sitting right there, and then just kind of freshening up the decor and bringing in some fall florals. So to repaint the front door, I am first just hand sanding it with a 120 grit sandpaper, and this is just to give my paint something to hold on to. I'm not trying to remove all the red, I'm just trying to de-shine it a little bit so that my paint can actually grip it. And once I have it kind of sanded so that it's rough and I can paint it well, I just make sure that I clean it really well. I don't want any of that dust hanging around when I go to prime the door. So I'm wiping it again with that microfiber cloth and making sure that it's nice and dust free. Today I'm using the Slick Stick primer from Dixie Belle. This is specific for really shiny surfaces. Even though I have rough sanded this and it's not super shiny anymore, I just want to make sure that my paint adheres really well. So I thought this would be the best primer for that because it's going to give my paint just an extra layer of something to stick to because I really want to make sure that this front door is nice and durable. So I gave just a really thin coat of the Slick Stick. I want it to dry quickly because I'm trying to knock this project out in one day. I actually did this all on Labor Day. So I brought my box fan out to the garage so that I can hopefully let things dry nice and quick. Sorry, I have a baby talking in the background again. And once I let this dry, I do hand sand it again with a 320 grit sandpaper because I want the primer to be nice and smooth. And if there's one step that you do not skip in this process, it is hand sanding the primer. It made such a difference in just how smooth the door felt. So as I'm sanding, I will just go around and kind of follow behind with my hand. And it's really obvious where you have sanded and where you've not sanded, and I'm just really knocking off the high points of the primer. I'm not trying to remove the primer, not even really trying to thin it out. I'm just trying to make it nice and smooth so that my paint has a really smooth surface to glide onto. So here are the colors I have it narrowed down to for the front door. I know you're probably a little surprised I don't have a green picked out, but I just feel like a soft blue will go really well with the kind of bad pinkish tannish siding that we have. So I have this dusty blue from Dixie Belle that I totally wasn't thinking about, but then I saw that I have it on my shelf. I do think that would be really pretty. I also have the vintage duck egg blue. Very popular color. It has a little bit more green in it and it's a little bit brighter. And then last is the mint julep. So I settled on the vintage duck egg. I just feel like it was the perfect blend of blue and green and it's a nice light color. It actually works really well as a neutral for every season. I really like decorating with it. I have it a lot throughout my home and you would think it's more of like a springtime color, but it really does a good job with the fall colors as well. It's just really complimentary of basically any design style that you go for. So the vintage duck egg is my color of choice for my front door. It feels like a bit of a commitment because how often am I really going to be repainting this? But I'm really happy with how this color came out. And I feel like when we go to sell this house, this will be a kind of color that people really like. And it's very nice and soft and welcoming. So yes, the vintage duck egg for the win. I just was so happy with how nice and smooth the paint went on. If you've never used Dixie Belle paint before, it is such a high quality. It's nice and thick. And compared to painting on the primer, the paint was just so fun to apply to the door. I do sell Dixie Belle paint on my Etsy site, and if you use the code GOVINTAGE, you get $5 shipping over $35 orders. So if you want to try some out, make sure you head over to my Etsy shop. I have all the chalk paint colors and some of the top coats and some of the primers. So just go over there and you can take a look at everything. The Dixie Belle paint, I watched a lot of videos kind of preparing for this. There are some women who swear that you don't even need a top coat for the chalk paint because once it cures, it's just really durable. But I wanted to take the extra precaution, so I'm using the Gator hide top coat for this project. It is supposed to be really, really tough, especially against water. And I'm using a trick right now that I've seen some other girls do where they mix the Gator hide with the paint, and that's supposed to help the Gator hide go on a little bit easier so that you don't have any kind of like messed up areas of the top coat where maybe your sheen isn't quite the same in one spot as it is in the other. Now, I will say I kind of wish I wouldn't have done it like this because I found that I was having a problem overworking the top coat, which tends to happen, and that gave me some kind of clumpy spots of paint. So I wish I probably would have just done the second coat of regular paint, just a nice thin second coat, and then went over it with the Gator hide with the thin sponge like I'm going to show you here in a minute. So I end up doing that anyway. So I kind of wish I would have just skipped this and done 2 coats of the paint on its own and then applied the Gator hide with the blue sponge that it comes with. Actually, I'm sorry, it doesn't come with the blue sponge, but it is recommended that you buy the blue sponge with the Gator hide because it gives you a nice thin application. And I do think that I would have had better results had I just done the paint and then the Gator hide. Because like I said, I found myself kind of overworking this coat of paint mixed with the Gator hide, and that caused some areas to just be a little clumpy and not as perfect as I think it would have been had I skipped this step. So learn from my mistake. I didn't exactly know how to fix it because I didn't want to sand it back down because that can get a little tricky. I don't think it's terrible. It's probably just me being a perfectionist, but there are a couple spots where I'm not like super thrilled with the results. So here I am. Now that my second coat of paint in Gator hide is super dry, I am applying just the Gator hide now with the blue applicator sponge that's also available from Dixie Belle. This was a really easy process. I just had to be careful again to not overwork the top coat because that's when your top coat gets kind of gunky. If you kind of go back over it once it started to dry, that's when you kind of have some problems happening. And I was doing that at the beginning. Eventually, I got a little bit better at it. I'm not super practiced with the Gator hide, so I mean, I feel like if I did this a couple times, I would understand better how to make it look nice and smooth. And by the end, I was doing a lot better. So I did do about 2 or 3 coats of that thin Gator hide. And while that's curing, I am painting the bench for my front porch. I'm using the Dixie Belle color drop cloth, which is just a really off-white, nice antique white. I love this color. And that's just going to really brighten up the space, I know for sure. I've been wanting to paint this bench ever since I bought it. I've had it for probably a couple years now. And I like having a bench on my front porch because that's where all the delivery guys tend to set my Amazon boxes and stuff, which is nice because if it rains, then they're pretty well protected. tell you how happy I am with this transformation. It totally changed the front of my house. Just the curb appeal is so much better now. I'm so happy with it. That little wooden stool I thrifted recently for $7. This wreath is from Hobby Lobby. I paid about $15 for it. And just all together, I think everything looks so nice. We got some fresh mums, and I'm so excited to welcome in the fall season with this new front porch. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know down in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.